Back to your tunes. That is music. Too stupid. Back to your tunes. That is music. Cartoon. That is music.
Hey guys, this is Zach. My usual co-host Evan will be here hopefully soon. He is stuck in traffic right now, but let's go ahead and get started. We have a very special guest here today, a very talented, very gifted 3D animator that I have met on the Channel Fredera Network, just like I've met most of these people on Channel Fredera Network. Mr. Arturo Acevedo Smith. You can go ahead and unmute.
Yeah, it's Acevedo. Or
Acevedo, okay.
Yeah.
Well, how are you doing today, Arturo?
I'm doing great. You know, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me. I love the music, the intro music.
Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. That intro music is by our good friend Pizzas, very talented musician. Everybody should go ahead and go listen to him if you can. But listen to this podcast first before you go listen to him.
Yes.
So I guess we'll go ahead and get started. Dang it. So when did you first start really studying animation?
Studying animation, I'd say probably not till college. I attended the University of Southern California, and right around then I started the 3D animation minor, and I started studying under Tom Cito. He's the guy that did a bunch of Disney stuff. And Lance Winkle, he's another guy that does a bunch of 3D animation stuff, and that's really when I started studying.
All right, cool. So I'm guessing you've probably been inspired by some Disney stuff due to that tutelage.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's great to Tom Cito, the professor, right? He did almost all the stuff that is in the Disney, what is called the Disney Renaissance period, which is basically all the movies of the 90s, Aladdin, Little Mermaid, all those amazing movies. It's like, oh my god, the guy that did all the stuff of my childhood is teaching me and stuff, so
nice.
It's pretty awesome.
So I guess we could go ahead and take a step back and see what got you into animation.
Got me into animation. Well, this goes really further back. Basically, I was about 6 or 7 years old when my brother started using my father's camera. My brother's about three and a half years older than I am, and we started making these short little films just with the toys, right? And they were just random toys. We'd use like a Predator toy and Mario in the same thing, and we would just create little movies with them. And they were the beginnings of stop motion before we even knew what stop motion was, the two of us.
Yeah.
So we'd barely animate them. We kind of like figured out, if we move them a little bit and then take a picture, it actually looks like they're moving. And so then over the years, we both kept doing stop motion. I kind of got into it a little bit more because I really started liking it. So I started doing stop motion with Spider-Man, with Transformers, and a bunch of stuff like that. And eventually I did this stop motion of Bionicle. And I uploaded it, and it was Bionicle Wars. And I did that about 10, 12 years ago or something. And that video was right around the time when YouTube was barely starting in 2006, early 2006. And because of that video and because of the comments I got from that video, I started making more and more stop motion animations, Bionicle videos. Eventually I started making Spider-Man videos, and I started making Beast Wars videos. And I kind of just loved, there's two reasons I loved animation. One is because I could do it all by myself, so therefore I could always just go and sit down and do a whole animation and then be done with it without anybody's help. And then the other reason I really loved it was because you take these figures that are lifeless, right? And then suddenly you can make them do whatever you want them to do, and you can turn them into action heroes. You can turn anything into some dramatic narrative. So bringing them to life was really kind of what made me want to keep on animating. Every time I would go through the stop motion and spend 6, 8 hours animating them, I'd be like, okay, I'm not doing this again. But then you see the results, and you're like, wow, that looks amazing. Okay, I'll do it again. And then that's kind of how it works, right? Every time you see the results, it inspires you to go and sit down for another 8 hours and animate again.
Mhm. Yeah, man. So I see some of those action figures in the background. Were they the early stars of your
The early
cartoons?
start. They're probably the early stars of the very first movies that my brother and I would make. My brother and I made this one with a dinosaur that attacks like little people. It was really funny. The Beast Wars, there's definitely, I don't know if he's in the frame, but Tarantulas and Optimus from Beast Wars Transformers. I made one stop motion with those two. My brother made another one called Dinobot versus Dinobot with Transmetal 2 Dinobot versus the normal Dinobot. But yeah, there's some of those, and some of the guys in the bottom row also got to star in some of the really, really early stuff that we
Nice.
would do. Yeah.
You should find those and post those online.
Yeah, I know. The real, well, VHS, you know. Yeah.
So, do you have like any sort of inspiration for how you make a cartoon, or kind of what the style you use?
Um, I would say we've been inspired by everything we saw growing up. Uh, my brother and I would see Nickelodeon, right? Fairly Odd Parents, right?
Yeah.
We'd see a bunch of movies. I'd say our main inspiration is all the main summer blockbusters, right? Matrix, Transformers, all that stuff really inspires us. And what I've always wanted to do is incorporate fight scenes and action into animation, because I've always found there's a lot of animation of people talking, a lot of animations with story-driven narratives, but I figured, well, kind of what I've always wanted to see is these guys fight. So then I create these narratives, but I also include a lot of fight scenes into them. And most of the way that's intertwined is all based on those movies that we would watch growing up, and even now. Yeah.
Nice. So you kind of mentioned YouTube a little bit back. Do you feel like YouTube is a good resource for animators?
I'd say so. I mean, I kept it's kind of the reason that I would dedicate so much time to making my animations, because then you saw that someone other than your family was liking your stuff, right? Because you can grow up and your family can like your stuff, and then someone else sees it and is like, this is crap. And that'll really suck for you. But YouTube kind of allows you to get in touch with a bunch of strangers that love you for one thing, which is your work, right? And so that feedback system that YouTube created is, I think, really beneficial for animators, especially when they're spending so much time doing their work. And it's also really good because as an animator, you're usually making very short videos, and you're usually making them independently, so it allows you to distribute them very easily without having to join a huge conglomerate of animators or a huge network or whatnot. And you can just distribute it through YouTube and get the feedback that you want to get.
Yeah, man, and I can see that you're doing pretty well. You have a video here that has nearly 2 million views. Do you want to talk a little bit about that one?
Yeah, that one is it's Spider-Man Ultimate 4, Spider-Man versus Venom, and that is actually, it's the fourth installment in this Spider-Man Ultimate series that I created, dating back to when I first got on YouTube in 2006, and it actually started as stop motion animation, that series, and it started as just Spider-Man versus Spider-Man, and then it was Spider-Man versus the symbiote, and then they had a rematch, and then I figured, well, the next logical step in the storyline would be Venom. And my brother and I had always been very frustrated because although there have been many representations visually of Spider-Man and Venom, there have never really been any accurate representations of how they would fight. So then basically what I wanted to do was create a whole 5 minute computer animation of what it would look like if these two characters were to fight. and I wanted them to fight for quite a while, right? Not just like a little 10-second battle like they had in Spider-Man 3. I wanted it to be an extensive battle, showing their abilities, sticking to their characters, and that's kind of what inspired that. And somehow it managed to take off over. I uploaded at the end of December, and then by February it already had thousands of views, and then it just keeps climbing. So it's just my intent was to create an accurate representation of their fight as best as my brother and I thought it would be, but I never expected it to actually be the first video to cross 1 million views. So that's always very good news.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and show the trailer here. Any last things you want to say before I start it?
Yeah, the trailer actually, it'll just show you Spider-Man Ultimate through Spider-Man Ultimate 4, and you'll see 4 has a lighting that was a little crude because I hadn't done a lighting pass yet, but in the actual Spider-Man Ultimate 4, the lighting is final, so it looks very different, but that's about it, yeah.
We are poison to you, Peter Parker. That is why we call ourselves Venom.
Like it.
Cool. Yeah, that was my brother's voice, by the way. My brother does the voice for Venom. Through a few filters. Yeah.
And I like that it kind of showed your evolution through the years, and it kind of just showed exactly what you explained, how you started out with the action figure animation, went slowly to digital.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 10 years there.
Has it really been 10 years throughout that entire quadrilogy?
Yeah, it's actually a bit. I would say maybe about 12. I just rounded it to 10 just to make it fun.
Yeah, just give a good round number.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll probably show the full version later on, but so what we've kind of talked about it a little bit, but what really inspires you to make a cartoon nowadays? Like, what inspires you to make a specific video that you decide to make?
Well, usually, I mean, I get inspirations from a lot of different things. Like I said, mostly there are movies and stuff. Most of what inspires me to create the cartoons is all the stuff that I loved when I was a kid. All my favorite stuff as a kid. And what inspires me to make new cartoons is whenever I think I have an idea that I'm passionate enough about that I'll dedicate, the like 450 plus hours that it takes to create these things. So whenever I have something that I feel, okay, I think I can just about have what it takes to create what I want to create at this point in time, and I love it enough that I'll be able to dedicate all this time to it, and hopefully people will love it as much as I do. And that's kind of what inspires me to go about creating new videos, and I kind of like to keep it somewhat fresh. So, the Spider-Man Ultimates, for example, 10-year gap, right? I don't like to just consecutively only do one thing. So I'll switch between Bionicle, between Spider-Man, between something original like the Wizard or Gladiators, and then I'll jump back to the series. So kind of like whenever I have a new idea and I feel I've progressed enough in my technique that I can add enough to it, then I'll create something new for that series.
Nice. So let's kind of change gears a little bit. Like I said during the introduction, you're a part of the Channel Frederator Network. Can you talk a little bit about how you got into that?
Yeah, that was actually it was kind of a crazy time because I just finished college and this was in the middle of my last semester. So this is around about March, right? And I'm doing all these projects simultaneously, and then I get contacted by Jennifer, who's the manager of the network, and she told me she had seen one of the Spider-Man Ultimate stop motions and that they were really cool, and if I wanted to be a part of the network. So I asked about more details, and she gave me the list. And then what I saw, all basically I was seeing was just like plus of really good stuff that you would get if you would join the network. And then the fact that it was a network that is only for animators, right? And only for animation, that's what really got me. Because I had been approached by other networks before, and most of them were just like these conglomerate networks that just basically had everything, right? Just videos about sports and whatnot. But
yeah,
Channel Frederator, on the other hand, it was just animation, and it seemed, and what really got me is like that they said you join a community, right, of all these animators. And I think a lot of the other networks don't have a community at all. I think they're all just alienated. So it is nice to feel a part of something, even if it's online, right? Because nowadays it can be very cold to join stuff online. So the whole community aspect of Frederator, I think, is really cool, and the whole Google Plus thing that they have going on with the different categories and people posting and introducing themselves. Like I think that whole animator stuff really got me to join.
Nice. So we kind of talked about it a little bit. Let's go ahead and take a look at Spider-Man Ultimate 4. Do you want to talk a little bit about this?
Yeah. So basically, this took an entire summer. I started. Models were made. Models for Spider-Man and Venom. I created them for about a month and rigged them. Then I created the whole city that you'll eventually see. To animate it, it took about 5 weeks, working every day for 8 hours. And then I lit it for about a week. I did sound design for it. So you're looking at about 450 hours of work of my life.
What a nightmare. Did Spider-Man have a bad dream? What? Who's there? Acevedo. It's gone. Cast us out. Now we have found someone new. Someone who shares our thirst for vengeance. It's found a new host. But who? The symbiote that Parker tried to destroy. Eddie Brock has embraced.
Brock? Is that you?
No! There is no more Eddie Brock. From now on, we are one. We are poisonous to fear Parker. That is why we call ourselves Venom.
He doesn't even trigger my spider sense. Brock, you have to get rid of it. That thing doesn't just bond with you, it takes over.
Stop calling us that. We are Venom.
kind of pause the action right here. My co-host just logged on, so
Oh, cool.
if you give me just a second, I'm going to go ahead and pull him in here and berate him for not being here on time.
Yes.
Let me get the... Sorry to any people who are listening to this after we are done. Where's my share thing? There it is. We are currently experiencing some technical difficulties. I'll get in here, you jerk. Let's see. So I guess while we wait for him, you can you talk a little bit about kind of how you decided to write it and like some of the acting involved in it.
Yeah, sure. I kind of got the idea to do it around the beginning of 2013, and I started writing it around April or March. And basically, I looked at the show a lot, the animated series of Spider-Man, the 90s one came out,
Okay.
and they had a Venom saga, which my brother and I thought was an incredible portrayal of Spider-Man and versus Venom. So that inspired me a lot. I looked at many of the other cartoons that have come out so far, Spider-Man and Venom, and I've been an avid fan of Spider-Man, so I understand a lot about his character and I understand a lot about Venom's character. So basically, in writing it, I wanted to portray them as close to the comics as possible, especially Venom, because he's never portrayed correctly in the films. So, I especially wanted to get that "we" in there because they always they take it off and they make him say "I." And it's like, no, they're two people. It's Eddie Brock and it's Venom. Okay, that's why they say "we." So I really wanted to shoehorn that in there and make them say the "we." And a lot of the set pieces, like the clock tower that you see in the beginning, that's straight from the comics and show. And basically, I was writing as much as I thought I could be able to create in the span of 3 months, right? So I was really pushing myself to not go overboard because I have this thing where whatever I write or whatever I storyboard, I have to create because I set that out for me. So then if I don't do it, then I'll consider that I failed. So I try and be, kind of reasonable to my limitations so that I don't end up writing myself into something that I can't do and then just be miserable because I can't do it. So I wrote this whole battle. What I really wanted to have happen is for it to be moving. So I didn't want it all just to be in this one place. That's why I created different sets. They go from the clock tower to a rooftop, to the wall, to swinging, to inside an industrial complex, to another rooftop, and then back to the bell tower. But I really wanted it to be moving and kind of intertwine the story throughout that and have it really be a portrayal of how powerful Venom is, how much of a threat he is to Spider-Man, and the fact that really no matter what Spider-Man does, he can't really defeat Venom. I mean, he can use sound, but that'll just weaken him. But Venom is just more powerful than Spider-Man, so that was kind of what I wanted to portray there.
Yep, and introducing our very, very, very late co-host, Evan.
What's up, guys?
Hello.
Evan, the Arturo. He's our guest. He's our guest. He was here on time. You were not.
Yeah, I was here like an hour ago, man.
Dallas train system is fun.
Oh, I bet.
So what I miss?
Everything.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for joining us, guys.
You contacted me in the middle of watching one of his videos.
Yes, we were watching Spiral to 4. Yeah.
So you ruined everything.
Yeah. I'm sorry. You know
right,
what?
right when the fight started, too. It was just...
I will chastise myself immediately after this video is concluded.
Okay. Well, I will go ahead and start that back up.
All right, let's go.
No problem.
Playtime is over.
That sound.
We are much stronger than you, Parker. It's useless to run from us. There's nowhere you can hide. Nowhere we can't find you. No! That sound! You tracked us!
Nice.
Oh, thanks.
That's good, man. Where do you get the idea for your stories? Are they all pulled from the comics, or any of them original storylines, or?
Well, when it comes to the Spider-Man, for example, the three previous entries were all original stories, so I based them on the comics. So, for example, Spider-Man Ultimate 3 takes place within Peter Parker's conscious, and it's a battle between Spider-Man's conscious and the symbiote, but represented physically. And then the background is actually the neurons of the brain, and you'll see like the little signals being transmitted as they're fighting. This one I wanted to stick very close to the comics, so although the fight itself is completely original and where they go and all that, what they say is it's honoring the comics and honoring what Peter Parker would say and what Bennett would say. But
Right on.
yeah.
Do you make your own models?
Yes, everything you saw, I made.
Nice.
On that video.
Yeah, you said it's about 145 hours of work?
It's about 450 hours.
450 hours. I way undersold that.
That's fine.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, and it shows. Like, there's a bit of roughness, but that's to be expected when a single person is doing all that.
Yeah, it looks really good, man.
Oh, thank you.
So, we were just talking about Frederator, Channel Frederator.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a current favorite, like, animated movie or show that's on air right now?
It's on air right now. I mean, in terms of cartoons, I kind of unfortunately stopped seeing cartoons about 5 years ago. Didn't really have time, and I didn't really have a TV. So, But the ones that I used to love were SpongeBob SquarePants, Invader Zim, Cat Dog, Rugrats, and all those. But currently, I don't really watch that many cartoons almost at all.
Well, I definitely recommend the fine works of Frederator Studios, including Adventure Time and Fairly Odd Parents.
Plug in advertising. Yes, I've seen a few of those episodes, and they are very funny. They do have a lot of the humor from the older shows, so that's
I'm just plugging them so I can get into favor with the people that
yeah, exactly. People
I'll
are
be
paying
giving my
more.
page.
That was obvious, right? Yeah. That's why we did that.
Up in that white wall, actually get something there.
So, did you study anywhere? Did you go to school for animation or anything like that?
Yes, so I studied at the University of Southern California in the School of Cinematic Arts. I majored in film production there, and I minored in 3D animation under the Viterbi School of Engineering. And
Cool.
that's basically where I studied all the stuff.
Nice. Who'd you say your teacher was? I can't remember.
Tom Cito, that was the Disney guy.
Okay, yeah. Because I remember I talk with Evan every once in a while, a lot about animation.
Every night on the phone.
Right.
Evan has a teacher that was also a Disney person.
We had two, technically three. Johan Klingler and his wife Norma, and then David Tart, who worked for Pixar. Yeah, Norma and Johan worked on the classically hand-drawn Disney films, and Mr. Tart was a 3D animator for Pixar. Specifically, he worked on Dory and Finding Nemo. I think that was his last film.
Oh, okay.
It's great to work with them too. They really know their stuff, man.
Yeah, they've been handed down advice from the 9 old men, you know.
I know, right?
Way before. Yeah.
So, do you think you have any goals or challenges that you want to complete in the animation or TV or film industry?
There are several goals that my brother and I have. Basically, we have these 10, 12 movies that we want to create over time. You know, some of them involving Godzilla, some of them involving Spider-Man, some of them involving completely original stuff that we've come up with. So our dream would be to take all those movies out one day, and someone will actually pay us to make them. In terms of animation, I love the medium. You know, if I would ever get to direct an animation, that would be absolutely the most amazing thing, I think. Whether it be Pixar, DreamWorks, you know, whichever company. Another thing I would like to create, perhaps, is another company of animation that is focused more on that age between 10 years old and 30 years old. Not so much for kids, but more like anime, where anime focuses on more adult concepts and has more fights and more action, to have a more Western approach to that mimics that, right? But just have it in the States and have a whole animation studio dedicated to doing that type of content. That would be another goal.
Right on. That'd be cool to see.
We can hope.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and show off the last video here, which is your most recent video.
Oh yes, Metal Gear Rex.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So my brother and I actually have a secret project that we're working on. It's going to be an adaptation of Metal Gear Solid. So, so basically, he bought this Metal Gear Rex toy that's a replica. It's a custom replica. It's huge.
Which, of course, I want now.
It's beautiful. There's only 500 of them, so I think they're out. But
cost $1 million.
Yeah, but anyway, it's such a beautiful replica of Metal Gear Rex. So I decided I had to model Metal Gear anyway for that project that we're going to work on eventually. So I went ahead and modeled the whole thing, basing myself off of the figure, and that took around a month or so. And for class, I had to create, the actual project was to create a giant robot and have it destroy stuff. So I figured, well, why not have Metal Gear Rex destroying stuff? So I modeled Metal Gear, I rigged Metal Gear, and did all the dynamics work that you'll see. I modeled the whole facility that he's in, and animated the whole thing. And that's what I uploaded. It was my final project for one of my classes.
All right, let's take a look. Short and sweet.
Okay.
Amazing, and of course I love it because I love Metal Gear. Didn't name my company after it or anything. No, don't.
Yeah.
So, any final words you want to share with us? Any future plans or anything you want to plug?
Yeah, sure. I'd say, just check out the videos when you can, and you'll be able to see them without the lag, hopefully. Check out...
It should be a good thing.
I apologize for that.
No problem. You can check them out. My username is Spidey406, or you can type in youtube.com/Skeletex, and that will take you right to my channel as well. Future stuff that I'll be making, I am going to create an entirely original series of Bionicle that will be inspired by Bionicle, but will be called Bionic Battles, and it's going to be all CG, and that'll be coming out around the fall as soon as I get started on it, and it'll be about these 1.5-minute episodes, and they'll just be fights with Bionicles, and it'll hopefully be successful, and everyone will like it.
All right.
Thanks, man. Thanks for coming out, and hopefully we'll be able to work together soon.
Yeah, thank you both for having me. It was a lot of fun, and wish you both the best of luck.
You as well.
Thanks, and please feel free to join us as we dance our way out of here.
All right, no problem. Let's do it.
Activate your tunes. That is music. Activate your tunes.